I have filmed at 9 Hyrox events, in total filmed 50 races, and Hyrox Melbourne is going to be my 10th event that I'm going to be at. With that amount of filming comes with a lot of experience, and with that experience, a lot of people have reached out to me to get advice, tips and tricks, and that's what this video is for. Please keep in mind, this is how I film Hyrox races. Doesn't mean it's the only way or the best way to film Hyrox. I have been fortunate enough to film some of the elites in this sport, such as Joanna Wettrick, Hunter McIntyre, Tia Claire Toomey, Gabrielle Decora Baker, and the list goes on. I'll be going through the equipment that I use, the settings that I use, the angles and shots that I like to get footage of, the way I take bookings and do deliverables, and finally how I edit the videos at the end. As I am editing this video, I realize I have left out quite a few pieces of information that I wanted to put in. So this version of me that interrupts the video, you'll see this a little bit, but yeah, I just wanted to say a couple of things and not leave it out the video and make another video for it. So this is what we're going to do. Back to the scheduled program. First off, the equipment that I use. The camera I use is the Sony FX3, which is currently recording this video right now. I have two lens choices, the Sony G Master 28 to 70mm f2, and if I want extra range, I use the Samyang 35 to 150mm f2 to 2.8. The monitor I use is the Portkeys LH7P. I use two microphones that I switch between, the Sony ECM B1M and the Rode Video Mic Go 2. I have a 1 to 5 stop variable ND filter from Nisi, and that is my current camera setup. Just a side note, when I first started filming Hyrox, I used a Sony a6700 paired with a Tamron 17 to 70mm f2.8. The main reason why I upgraded from this to the FX3 is because I wanted better low light performance. Hyrox venues can have some pretty unpredictable lighting. It can be pretty dark in there sometimes, so the FX3 covers all of that. This may be a small boy, but this got me through about 90% of my work. Don't underestimate this camera. Hi, hello, me again. So things that I left out, I've written it down. So heavy rigs can slow you down. It's not really needed when you're filming a Hyrox. What I mean is that you don't really need the monitor. You can literally just run the camera body, the lens, the microphone, and you're good. Some people like to do extra stuff like carry a gimbal, which I'm not really a fan of for using Hyrox because, I mean, with handheld, you got a lot more control, whereas the gimbal, sometimes you can miss a lot of shots. I've seen a lot of videographers out on the floor and they're just completely missing the shot, and I don't get it. Unless you are on the course and you're chasing someone down with a gimbal, that's when I think it would make sense. But on the spectator side, no need. So to wrap up what I wanted to add, it's more so heavy rigs, you don't need it. You could just use a smaller body. Heavier stuff can slow you down. You can miss the shot, switching between lenses and stuff like that. You know, just make it easier for yourself. Then again, it is your decision. I'm just telling you how I do it. Now for the in-camera settings that I use. I like to shoot in 60 FPS or sometimes 120 FPS for that extra smooth slow-mo. Hyrox is a very fast-moving sport, so shooting in a higher frame rate allows me to slow down the footage in post if I deem necessary. You can shoot in 24 or 30 FPS if you don't plan to slow down the footage at all, but if you do, I do recommend a higher frame rate so you don't have that choppy footage when you edit. The file format I use is XAVC S4K. I film in S-Log3, which gives me more flexibility with color grading in editing. The FX3 has a dual base ISO of 800 and 12800, so I choose between those two depending on the lighting, and then I adjust the exposure with the variable ND filter that I have on. I manually set my white balance depending on the venue. It usually ranges between 4600 and 5600 Kelvin. The autofocus point is center, and my stabilization is on active. Again, some side notes, when I used to film on the A6700, I would use a picture profile that has S-Cinetone. It would save me in the color grading process. It was just a lot easier to work with than S-Log3. Plus, I didn't really know how to expose log footage correctly, so I just avoided it. Sometimes I would also shoot in automatic ISO, ranging between 100 to 5,000. It honestly gets the job done. It saves you from manually having to do everything. If it gets too noisy, I would usually just add some denoise in post editing. Now for the angles and the types of footage that I look for when shooting. First off, the orientation that I shoot at will actually depend on what the athlete wants. So if they just mainly want the videos for social media, I will actually natively shoot vertically just like this. As much as I love shooting horizontally, I don't like cropping in for vertical, mainly because I want the full 4K quality. So having the native vertical for social media is just ideal for that situation. As for the shots and angles, you want 3 types: wide, medium, and close up. I try to get these 3 angles or shots at each station when possible. Wide for the establishing shots to show what station they're at, medium to focus in more of what they're actually doing, and then a close-up shot to show the details, stuff like grabbing the kettlebells or grabbing the ski handles or row handles. For 99% of people, you'll be filming in the spectator area. So getting the angles and the footage that you want will vary from venue to venue and how busy it is. I know sometimes it can be very busy to get to where you want to be, very crowded, but as long as you're polite and ask nicely, people will see the camera that you're holding and usually let you through to get a better view. Here are some extra tips. Try to get foreground. It gives the shot that you're taking more depth. So what I mean by that is you've got something in front of the lens that's blurry, but the main subject, like the athlete, will be in focus, gives that depth. Also looks very cinematic. Next tip is to use movement. So follow the athlete when they're doing a certain movement. So for the ski, you can follow their body or the handles, same with the row. On the burpees, you can follow them jumping along or going down onto the floor. With the lunges, you can follow them bobbing up and down as they take a lunge. And then with the wall balls, that's the easiest. You just follow the ball up and down as they throw it up, as they catch it, or you can even follow the athlete themselves. Next tip is to find emotion. So try to get the athlete when they're straining, smiling, crying, laughing. All of that is really good content for the edit later. Last tip is my secret sauce. I like to get the athlete to say something to the camera that I can have as a hook later.
It's just pain.
I can confirm that hurt.
Generally, I want it to be as natural or as hype as possible. Again, just to make the edit a little bit spicier, you know, once you get through all the footage. Now, how I take bookings and how I do deliverables. Leading up to the event, I only lock in 1 race per category. Months in advance, Hyrox will generally release a timetable showing what races will be on what day. From there, I will also have a waitlist for each category, so I can refer back to once the actual race times start. Unfortunately, the actual race start times for the athletes don't come out until the week of the race. So basically, I play a waiting game until I get the actual times. I then organize it in my notes to figure out the exact time of what day, what race they're on. And then if I see any gaps in between the races, I refer back to my wait list and then contact those athletes if they still want the filming. As for the Hyrox filming package that I offer, it includes the time that I'm filming, 1 video recap edit, and all the raw footage that I also color grade is given to them. Moving on to the last part, the editing. I use a MacBook Pro to edit all my videos. The software I use is CapCut. I know a lot of the elitists are gonna come for my throat for that one, but it works for me. It's so easy to use. My workflow on it is extremely fast. If that means I can get the videos out to the client, you know, way quicker than if I were to use DaVinci Resolve or Adobe Premiere or whatever, I will do that. Again, it's a personal preference. I use DaVinci Resolve sometimes, but I just really like the UI of CapCut. So user-friendly. Now here's the actual thought process of the way I edit Hyrox videos. Usually it all starts with the music or the song choice. The athlete will give me a song of their choice, but sometimes when they don't, I just choose what I think fits the vibe. Most importantly, I always edit in chronological order. So what I mean by that is that I edit from the start of the race all the way up until the end of the race in order. It should be pretty self-explanatory, but say it's from the warm-up and then the start line, then the start of the race, the run, the station, all the way up to the finish line. And then sometimes I like to have a bit of the post-race footage if I feel like it fits the video. I just like editing in chronological order. I'm not the biggest fan of edits where it kind of switches the stations around. Like sometimes I'll see edits where the wall balls are first and then they'll have the row and then it goes into the lunges. To me, it doesn't make any sense. I like to have a good storytelling flow. Like the purpose of the edit is to showcase the athlete going through their Hyrox race. And so I like to have that in chronological order. That's just how I do it. Now for the color grading, I just convert the S-Log footage to a Rec 709, and then I manually tweak it to how I just like to see on the screen, the exposure, white balance, and contrast. Then I like to top it off with the Hollywood light that I got from Jason Morris. Go check it out. The link is in the description. I highly recommend. Okay, final time you see this angle of me. So for the editing, I wanted to say that when you edit, switch up the sequence of the angles that you use. For example, don't go into a wide to a wide to a wide shot, or a close-up to a close-up shot to a close-up shot. Try to mix it up so it keeps the viewers engaged and the video kind of interesting. So for example, go to a wide shot, then a medium shot, then a close-up shot, or even go to a wide shot, a close-up shot, then back to a wide. You just switch it up. Don't try to use the same angles too much or the same type of shots too much. But then again, it's not a set rule. It's just how I think about editing. Sometimes it makes it more interesting. I hope that makes sense. I probably left an example in front of my face or something. Next, I like to create a build-up or suspense or hype at the start of the videos. So it doesn't jump straight into the action like the ski erg, the run. Usually it will be like at the warm-up and it's, you know, slow-paced, then builds up into the runs and the stations. Sometimes I like to do a very quick cut of like 20 clips summarizing the whole video, but it's so quick you can't even see it. It lasts maybe 2 to 3 seconds. That also creates kind of suspense and hype to, or even show like a preview of what's going to be in the video. A specific example of this is if a song has a slow rise to it. It goes, meh, and then the beat drops.
I'm a lonely shell, I lose myself. Oh, darling, I've been looking for you all night, all day long, darling.
That's kind of what I mean with the build up, with the slow start, and then the hit kind of creates this suspense in a way. Hopefully that makes sense. And lastly, I wanted to say, when it comes to editing with the music, edit with the beats, please. I've seen a lot of edits of the Hyrox race where it's just overlaid music and they're just cutting the footage randomly. It doesn't sync with the beat. It doesn't create any sort of hype or storytelling. So yeah, edit to the beat of the music. It just makes it much more appealing or pleasing to watch. As for my export settings, I like to export in 1080 30 FPS. I choose 30 FPS because it's Instagram's native frame rate, so the videos will look smooth and clear on the feed. I choose 1080 over 4K export settings because Instagram or social media in general like to compress videos. So if you export in 1080, there's a less likely chance it will compress the videos. Anyway, that's from my experience and what I've heard from other creators. Once the edit is done and all the raw footage is done, I upload everything onto a Google Drive and I deliver that, send the link to the athlete/client. That pretty much covers everything on how I film Hyrox races. If you have any questions, feel free to hit me up on Instagram. I hope this video has helped you somehow. Good luck on filming your next Hyrox race. Good luck on filming your next Hyrox race. I appreciate you for watching. Peace.